Hey everyone, time for the Kings team check-in, and you might have noticed earlier that we couldn't use a soundstage for our trivia setup, and that problem will persist, so we're doing things a little bit janky here. So now I can't join the fellas in the same room, but instead I'm going to be projected in to the podcast room as if the Kings are my personal Power Rangers, and I'm giving them their mission. So Kings, if you choose to accept it, your mission is to answer my horrible questions. So yeah,
I would love to.
Is that great? Okay, good. Fellas, we did one of these not too long ago, but without everyone here. So now things are a little bit different. You guys have everyone here. How big of a difference do you think it's actually made? And Genetics, I guess we can start with you. How big of a difference for you has it made to be in the same ping, but also in the same environment as the rest of your teammates?
Yeah, it's a big difference. I mean, rather than seeing how lazy these guys are from across the world, I get to see it in person now. Mm-hmm. So when my ADC, he's just, you want to scrim time, right? No, I'm okay. Oh, okay. No scrims today. Don't know. It's really good. I mean, the atmosphere is a lot better. The fact that we can openly just discuss things in person and like, there's no emotion. You can't be. I mean, I don't know. It just makes things so much easier. It just feels like a real team, rather than. I mean, just I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just so much better in every way. We've had a week and a half of practice, and I feel like we've made leaps and bounds already.
Yeah.
Both personally and as a team. So I'm excited to just get a few more weeks in and then win Worlds.
Tings, how about for you? How big of a difference has it made in your opinion?
It's been a pretty good difference. A lot of changes, obviously, but for the better. Not being able to rely on like gods and like setup and limiting our comps and stuff. It's been really good, really refreshing for me. I can actually expand my god pool a little bit more and just have a bit more fun. It's always good to have a run here. We all scrim in the same room, so it's been a pretty good time so far in that week and a half. And like Sam said, we've already made a lot of progress, so hopefully it just keeps going.
Harry or Ben, I mean, you guys were here when we talked to you last time, and we asked this question, how big of a difference would it make? I don't remember your exact answer, forgive me, but do you think that it lived up to your expectations to have the fellas join?
For me, yeah. Well, like, I don't actually live with them, but like the times I've driven over for scrims or like we just spend like a lot more time. We'll go out to eat, and we'll just end up just organically talking just about like, no, it doesn't have to be about Smite, but I feel like we just naturally just become better friends, spending so much time with each other. And I mean, when in the start of season 6, when I joined like Rival as a team, we had a team house. It felt very similar where like this is like truly like I can understand why there's like gaming houses, gaming teams in all esports, because it's just like the way it's kind of meant to be. And it really does feel like we're a proper team. We can talk to each other about Smite, maybe about negative parts about Smite, and it doesn't have to be personal. And, you know, we're just good friends, and it is night and day difference. Also in just like how confident Genetics and Big Man are in the game too. It's noticeable. So yeah, it's a big difference.
Harry, anything to add?
Not really. Pretty much what Ben said. It's it means that we don't really have an excuse to like blame ping or anything anymore. You know, like so it like. For the rest, like most of the year, we'd be like, oh, if we went on ping, like we could have won that game. And now it's like we don't really have that excuse anymore, so we can actually figure out like what it is going on and not blaming it on ping. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like we can actually find out like like what we need to improve on, rather than just saying, oh, it's just ping diff.
Yeah, best part for me is when Sam is in ability now, I can flame him without feeling bad. There's no more excuses now, so.
I don't miss. So. Only thanks.
Yeah, allegedly, if he ever misses, you're gonna have that opportunity.
On the off chance.
Yeah, on the off chance. Yeah, if he gets unlucky. Before we get into, I have a couple particular questions about your run at playoffs and qualifying for Worlds and all that kind of stuff. But before I get to that, you know, at the very beginning of this year, a lot of us looked at this team and we said, you know, they've got a lot of great players, but we have no idea how they're going to play the game. You know, what is this team's identity going to be? Now that you've had a full regular season, getting close to the World Championships now, if you had to summarize your team identity, could you do so for me? And I guess I have to, because I can't look at you in the eyes through my Power Rangers camera. Harry, you get to be the lucky one to go first here.
Our team identity. would be
Oh.
no. I'd say decisive.
Okay.
You know, like we're not afraid to just go somewhere and just do what we think is the correct thing to do. Like for example, even if it's like sieging a mid tower or like, you know, going to a gold or like in the most recent playoffs, like we had some very clutch FDG calls where we just committed and we thought it was the right thing to do and everyone believed in the call and we just went and did it. So yeah, I'd say probably decisive is probably the best way to describe us as a team right now.
Genetics.
Well, this is like my first like big SPL opportunity, and when we were making the team, the way that I always thought it would be and the way that it is now is, I just think I'm with two insanely mechanical carries, Big Man and Royd, and they don't have to think; they just have to press the buttons, and that's what they do. And I've got Ben, who's got the most experience in the game, who's not afraid to die. I've got Harry, who's got a lot of experience and not afraid to die. Both game day players, and then I just want to sit there and I want to be in the middle of everything and just. I mean, hopefully just enable whatever anyone wants to do, and Biggie keeps us together so we don't fall apart. But I mean, I think it's just a really good balance that we've just got we've got players that aren't afraid to die and players that are so good when they don't die that we just win, and that's why I think we've got we're pretty good at everything. I think for the most part, we're a pretty average team at everything, and I think that's just a really good thing to have because it means when we do improve, we've got no weak points. Sure. Yeah, that's how I think it was going to be, and that's how it is right now.
Big Man, what would you say is the team identity?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with Sam and Harry with the points they were saying, and they make my life pretty easy. Just sit back and vibe out, hit the buttons. So yeah, I mean, I think that's one of our stronger suits about the decisive. Like, listen to the call. Like, even if it's not a great call, we'll listen to it and we'll go down as a team. Even if it does feel bad sometimes. But that's kind of how we learn, and I think that's really good that we're all on board with that pretty much all the time, and it can help us push forwards and hopefully keeps us going for Worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Twig?
I think maybe it's kind of following on what Harry was saying, but indecisive. I think we're just kind of a team play team. I think it's a symptom of Biggie kind of being the main man that kind of formed us as a team, kind of, or at least he was the, let's say, backbone of how we all formed a team. And I think he is a player coach, and I think he's a big part of why we're kind of the way we are. I mean, also, every team that I've been on, one thing I can give any team I'm on is a little bit of glue, for lack of a better word, and just be a team player. And I think as long as all my teams are playing as a team, as five, and not for themselves, that's all I want. And I think that's a similar thing to what Biggie wants, especially in terms of just meshing together as personalities. So I would say we play as a team, and then if we could all have a great day on game day, that's what's going to put us over the edge of every other team. But as long as we can always fall back on team play, objective play, coordinated map play, then that's probably our identity.
Yeah. I have to say, I've done a lot of these team check-ins at this point in my career, and I don't think I've gotten 2 questions in and heard the coach's name come up as much as Biggie has already in this discussion. In your experience, Ben, I'll ask you first, or maybe just in totality, because you have the most SPL experience. No disrespect, of course, to the other coaches you've worked with in the past, but what do you think makes Biggie different from some other coaches you've worked with on previous teams?
I feel like he's a lot more laid back, but he just doesn't have his agenda to push. I never feel like he wants us to play his way. He wants us to play our way with each other, which, I don't know. For me, he's my favorite coach I've ever had. Not that Hazer or Slaney were bad in any way. I think they brought some good things to every the teams I was on. But I think he just wants us to be at our best. I don't know. To anyone who's watched Ted Lasso as an analogy, I would put him as a similar coach to Ted Lasso in the way that he doesn't really have just his plan force us all to do it. He just lets us do our own thing and tries to enable that through, letting us just be ourselves and kind of mediate it, I guess, a little bit. And he's very chill, that's just his coaching style and his style of being a person as well outside of the game.
So has he hung the believe sign like above your scrim room yet?
I wish he would.
I wish he would too. I think that'd be cool. All right, let's talk about the playoff run, fellas, because obviously it was fantastic. You guys didn't have a lot of time to prep and be ready for playing on LAN, for playing on low ping, for Tings and Genetics, but obviously you guys all popped off, and I'm sure you had high expectations for your team. All teams do. But now that we're past it, do you feel like the way you played surprised you in any way? Genetics, we can start with you. Did anything catch you off guard from how you guys played during that tournament?
I'd say no, but a little bit. I mean, we've had pretty poor performances in important games, and I think I personally have had quite a lot of poor performances. We've lost to Scarabs when we should have won. We got battered by Titans when they had their first rise in success. And I think both those situations, I think we thought we were favourites in, and we would have been sad to lose again in the first round without winning and showing that we actually aren't just a scrim team or a regular game day team. It's good to show that we actually have some ability to win in tournaments. So I was very happy that personally, and as a team, we just pulled out everything. To go 15 games in a weekend is mad. To have the fact that we had a week and a half practice into that and then came out. I mean, even though we didn't win finals, we still won 2 games, and I'm just it's amazing that we could do that already. So it's really good that we got that out of it.
Yeah, Tings, I saw, 15 games of Smite in one weekend. I saw you on Twitter. You weren't particularly happy about having to play all those. But overall, how would you judge the playoff performance versus what you were expecting?
No, obviously playing 50 games is going to be physically and mentally exhausting, especially across 3 days, and they were all pretty close sets. But in a way, I'm also kind of glad they went 15 games. It was our first tournament all being here, so it was we learned a lot about each other as a team throughout the whole 15 games. The whole weekend was really good. I think there were some small things we could have changed with our prep going into it. I think we had a bit more time and a bit more focus on where we were going to prep. We could have probably had a bit of a smoother ride, maybe even taken the finals. But I'm overall really happy with how each of us performed, given the situation we were involved in across the whole year, and then only having the week of prep. So I'm really happy and really proud of the team to put them through and get us to Worlds. Ben, how about for you?
I mean, no one's going to take a second place and be satisfied in Smite. No team or individual. Obviously, we can say maybe we wanted to beat, or I definitely just wanted to beat Leviathans this week. But then the next day we had to play against Titans, and I don't think any of us were happy at the end of it. We all knew we needed LAN games in the studios, so thank goodness we didn't lose to Scarabs 3-0 to start the week off, because that would have been mentally really challenging. But we needed the LAN games. We got a lot of them. We got a lot of practice. So we can all smile about that. But obviously, come Worlds, none of us are going to take anything less than first place. Ideally. So yeah, I just say we're not happy, but I think we know how good we could be. So it's kind of we've got a pretty high morale going into Worlds.
Sure. Yeah, Harry, you've been on a lot of teams and played in a lot of playoff events at this point in your career. How did your team's performance at playoffs compare to your expectations of your team's performance at playoffs?
Well, my expectations for this team, honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. Because like Sam said, we have choked every major, important set we've played. For example, we didn't make groups phase 1.
Right.
We got smashed by Titans. So basically that weekend was more important for my expectations on how Worlds was going to go.
Right.
If we lost to Scarabs in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised. I would have thought that we wouldn't even make Worlds through the qualifiers. I'm not even joking. I feel like this set was so important for us, at least for me, to have a lot more confidence in our important set play to, perform in big games. And yeah, that was the most important thing for me. Obviously, yeah, getting experience on LAN together. We learned a lot about the prep as well. I think our prep going into first of all, we did have like a short space of time, maybe like 8 days of scrims on normal ping, so we kind of just slammed like very few things just to get like them locked down. Like for example, the first set we played Hell and we got banned for the rest of the tournament pretty much.
Right.
So we put a lot of practice into that, and now we've learned from the prep that we should have probably been a bit more loose in our picks and practice a lot more other stuff to bring out. So yep.
Yeah. You guys mentioned it a couple times, but obviously you have to talk about those finals, the reverse sweep there for the Titans. I mean, does that dampen the mood coming out of that playoffs? Do you feel like it was still mission accomplished? I know Twig kind of touched on it there, but Harry, we can start with you again. How did that set change that overall event and how you view going into Worlds now?
I don't think it changed anything, to be honest. In my opinion, we should have 3-0'd them. Game 3, I should have just picked Nike. Like that night, that got us so broken. But I kind of had, I think it's a positive affirmation or whatever it's called. Like when we win on RTO or whatever I was playing, it just makes, I like, my thought is it worked, so I should just pick it again rather than I think that Nike is a better god and will be better in this team comp than I should play Nike. So I kind of think, getting reverse swept or losing Titans, like, it doesn't really change my opinion on how we're going to perform, or if we meet them again at Worlds Finals. I think the result will be a lot different next time. Yeah.
Sam, how about for you?
Well, I was pretty happy with how it went. I just wish we would have changed, obviously, something and won a game. But from a personal point of view, like, I just really wanted to prove that I could make shot calls at a big tournament and not throw them and perform well. So I was really happy that the first game was pretty back and forth. The second game was super clean, and I loved the way we were playing the map. Like, everyone was playing the same as when they play their best. And then I'm glad that I made a good call and people listened to it. And that's, for me, that was all I was going into this tournament, was making sure that when it comes to Worlds, I don't want to be the person that's not making the correct call because I'm scared it's going to go wrong. If there's a call that's 95% going to go your way and the 5% you're not going to lose the game off of it, then by chances you should take that. So personally, I'm glad that at least I proved to myself that I could do that still in big games.
Yeah. Jordan, big ManTingz, how about for you?
I'm obviously disappointed we didn't win, but I still think we had a pretty good showing. I don't think we didn't particularly play the best on that finals day as a team, but to still take that 2 games, and then with our limited prep, I feel like the well kind of almost ran dry a little bit after game 2, heading into the rest of the set, and we were just trying to figure out how to deal with it. And sadly, we couldn't really figure out the right piece at that time. In hindsight, looking back, we would have done things differently, obviously. But there in the moment, it's not always the easiest to figure out how you get that one final game to win. But I'm still super happy with how we played, and I'm just excited to keep progressing and moving forward.
Yeah, Twig, since you kind of gave your thoughts on this already, I'll start with you for the next question, which is, now that you guys have a berth to the semifinals of the World Championships, as someone who's been to numerous finals throughout his career, do you view going to the semis straight away as a big advantage, or do you almost wish you had one of those warm-up games ahead of time? Do you give any credence to that theory?
To be honest, I wish we hadn't got a bye to Worlds. Obviously, we're not going to say no to a free bye to Worlds semifinals. Even in terms of, like, if we bomb out the first semis, we ensure ourselves a decent amount of money, which I don't think anyone on the team cares about more than winning. I personally think it's a bit of a disadvantage. I think I'd much rather have that warm-up game, just a little bit of momentum at the start of Worlds. I don't think we'd have been beaten Leviathans last week without beating Scarabs first in the way we did.
Sure.
And I don't think we would have beaten Titans 2 games if we hadn't had the sets the 2 previous 2 days before it. So yeah, I think it's a weakness. I was hoping that maybe Worlds would be a round of 8 or something, but it didn't happen. I'm not happy about it, but like, it is what it is. We just got to prep hard. If we go in feeling confident and playing well, then that's not really going to matter. It just is what it is. I'm definitely just not happy about the lack of a first round, but it's fine.
Sure. Anyone else have any thoughts on semifinal versus having the bye? I won't direct it to everyone, but anyone else have any thoughts there?
I don't say it's just not a pure advantage. I think this whole like ghost tale of like semis being a disadvantage is just, I mean, I'm not saying you directly wrong, I'm just saying from my opinion, like the fact that we get to go into it and not show a single thing when I'd say I'd like to think we're an experimental team. We have a lot of experimental players. We think of a lot of ideas. Everyone puts in. We get to evaluate other teams' picks and bans. When it gets to the semi-finals, when it gets to quarters, if it's like Scarabs versus Leviathans, no one's going to hold stuff back. No one's saving stuff.
Right.
You don't want to risk the lose. They're showing everything. We have stuff. So I don't see how that's just not a pure advantage in my head. Obviously, it's fantastic we got the 15 games. I think that's the biggest thing. The fact that we managed to get those and then we get a bye means that's my warm-up, in my opinion. Like, as long as we're all fired up and ready to go and ready to put our, play as well as we can on the day, then it has to be an advantage from my point of view.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning more with Twig. I'm more of a momentum-based player. I like getting warm and getting the feeling. But at the same time, I'm happy being in the semis. It honestly just means we have to work hard as a team with our prep and just making sure we're fully prepared and have a very strong understanding on the meta or the metas that could approach us while in the semis. So people may think, oh, it's easier for you guys during the semis, but in fact, I would probably say it's harder for us. We've got to put a lot more work in, and we've got to really lock down what we think we're going to play and what we know we want to play as well.
We get to scrim more teams though. If we were in the playoff bracket, for example, we don't get to scrim half the teams, right? So we get to scrim every single team now if we want to.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, look, fellas, at the end of the day, you're sitting here. You only have to win 6 more Smite games to win the World Championship.
I told them that.
That's it.
Yeah.
6 more. You guys have won way more than 6 throughout this year, so it should be easy at this rate, right? That's how it works.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Something like that. Last question before I let you guys go, and Twig and Harry have already answered this question, so they're off the hook. But Tings and Genetics, because you weren't here the first time, I want to know what would constitute a successful season for you guys. And your answer is probably going to be changed by your position that you're in now, knowing that you're going to be at the semifinals at Worlds automatically. But Tings, we can start with you. What has to happen for the rest of the year to be a success in your mind?
Honestly, for me, it's winning. It's a win for me. It has to be. I've been playing for so many years now, and I feel like I've been slowly making progress across those years. Like qualifying for my first Worlds under United, and I get knocked out, and then went semis last year. I feel like this is just time just to take it. I feel like if I don't get the win, I'm going to be really devastated. But I believe in the boys. Obviously, we had a great showing of playoffs, and if we don't get the win, I'll be really upset. But I really believe we can with this roster.
Sure. Genetics?
I don't know. I'm a bit different to everyone else. Like, not that I'm not motivated to win, but personally this year I just wanted to have a lot of fun and get on a good team and not do poorly. And I don't know. It's already successful for me. I want to win Worlds, obviously.
He's not one of us.
But to me, like, this has already been a good year, finishing top 4. It's my first World as well, so I'm not got the experience these guys have got. He's 50, he's 40. Big Ben's gone on 30. But I mean, I'd love to win. But again, like, if it goes to best of 5, I would be so upset. But I mean, just don't get 0-3, man. I mean, I think we can win everything, and I'd love to show that we can actually win still. But I'm already happy with, from my experience, what I thought the year would be going into it.
Yeah, fair enough. You guys have had a great year so far. There's no doubt about that. And like I said, only 6 games away from lifting the hammer at the very end of the year. Thanks for the time, fellas. I really enjoyed sitting down and talking with you. And don't go anywhere for both you guys and the fans at home, because Dave's coming up with the Q&A right after this.
Gotta take off my jacket for this one.
Dude, no, I know he was supposed to take you out last weekend, but he got busy.